What's going on, YouTube? You're tuned into the No Level Cap podcast. And this week, we're hopping on the trend because we're doing top 10 games to get to know us.
Yo, what's good, people? Welcome back to the No Level Cap podcast with your friendly neighborhood black nerds, where we cover all the anime, all the gaming, all the nerd culture stuff, absolutely zero of the BS. Back with a new episode every Monday morning. I am your host, Sage Ashford. These are my co-hosts, Rajhkeem Beck, Devin Butts, Terance Flowers, and Will Coleman. Like Terance said, this week we're talking about the games to get to know us. Obviously, this is a trend, as Terance brought up. Everybody was doing it. We figured, why ignore an algorithmic gift? Why do that when we can just go ahead and talk about this? Also, it's hard coming up with topics every fucking week. So if y'all gonna give us a free topic, we'll definitely take it. So we're not gonna waste no time. Everybody came up with 10 games to get to know them. Now, I am going to be interested in hearing how y'all came up with y'all lists. Cause when I initially heard the trend, I was like, oh, like favorite games or whatever. And then someone else was like, nah, like I was watching like people talk about it and streamers and YouTubers talk about it. And somebody was like, nah, what if you could give an elevator pitch to describe yourself, but you could only use video games? Like what sort of games make you up as a person? Like somebody gets a sense of like, oh, okay, I see what type of person this is. Like that was how I went into it. I want to know, how did y'all go into it? What was y'all's approach? And so throw a little bit of that in there as we look at y'all games to get to know you. So first up, we got Terance, who fucked it up and got 12 games. Now I'm just playing. How did you go about making this list, and why are these games on your list, bro?
So my methodology for this was what games ultimately define me as a gamer, in terms of these are the games that set me on the path to liking the genres that I like today and shaping me into the type of gamer I just am in general. And I will explain the reason why there's 12 on here. The first four, well, actually, I guess I'll just go into it. I also have this in order, funny enough, of, I guess, technically when the games came out or when they were introduced to me. So first off, I start off with Reader Rabbit 2 and Math Blaster. So yes, I was an educational gamer growing up. When I was like 6, 7 years old, that was actually my introduction to games. Sure, I saw Mario on NES and, some of the other games around that time as well. But in terms of games that I actually owned and actually played myself, these were the first two. And the reason why they're together is I got them at the same time. My mom and dad, they really only wanted me playing educational games at the time. So my dad, he had a PC, had a compact Windows 95. I was on that almost every day. And so Reader Rabbit 2 and Math Blaster, I played those a lot. Of course, Reader Rabbits focused around reading, Math Blasters focused around math. So were you gonna say something? Your record.
Record.
You're okay. You're good now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that there are a lot of games from that era that were like that, like a whole bunch of educational games. And if you're in your probably by now mid to late 30s, I'll say that, and you play video games, you probably at some point played some of these educational games, especially if your parents were really about like, all right, I need you to learn some shit. They definitely sat you down in front of some of these. I remember having one that was like a Spider-Man game, but it was about reading and shit. So it's a little throwback seeing these.
Yeah. And if I had to pick one over these, it would be Reader Rabbit 2 over Math Blaster, just because Reader Rabbit 2 was my first game, if I'm not mistaken. So if I'm narrowing down this to 10, then Reader Rabbit 2 would be there over Math Blaster, but it's kind of like they're both together for me just because I played them around the same time. And these next two, it's pretty much the same deal. These are actually I would say my first quote unquote real games. And, back then growing up in the 90s, of course, you had tons of licensed games, and Toy Story. I was a huge Toy Story fan. It was my first game on PC, which, everybody loves to talk about now how they, PC master race and, they hopping on the PC train and everything. Hey, I was on PC. That was the first system that I had technically was on PC. So I played Toy Story and I played Sonic CD on there. And so Toy Story, it was a side scroller game. It's funny, probably looking back at it probably wasn't really like that good of a game. It was probably just average at best. But to me, like 7-year-old, 8-year-old me, it was a blast. It was hard. I remember like crying at like certain levels that I couldn't beat. And Sonic CD is actually the same way. I had that for PC as well. And that was technically my introduction to the Sonic franchise. I got a Sega Genesis later and got Sonic 3D Blast, but to narrow down this list, I just focused it on Sonic CD. And so, yeah, those two games, they just define me in terms of like really introducing me to the world of, like, I guess, actual gaming. If I were to take away one here, it would be Toy Story and just Sonic CD. So really this list would be Rita Rabbit 2 and just Sonic CD and then everything else. But yeah, just those 4 games, since the 4 of them are intertwined in each other, I just include them there just to kind of give a bit more context and tell a story there. Next, Pokemon Red was the first game I got for my Game Boy, like Game Boy Color. And this is truly a defining game for me because not only did it introduce me to the world of Pokemon, but it also introduced me to the world of RPGs. I played the mess out of this game. I probably have like hundreds, maybe even 1,000 hours that I put into my Game Boy on it. I would beat the game over and over again. I remember doing the missing number trick, like going up and down the whatever side of the river it was for all the rare candies and all the duplicated items and whatnot. I knew every trick of that game and played it multiple times.
I'm glad. Are you the only one that had a Pokemon?
I think so.
Okay, I'm glad somebody had Pokemon on their list because I did. It's not a game that defines me, but I did like you have where I just played the shit out of Pokemon. I had Red and Blue, but I didn't have like 2 Game Boys, so it was kind of pointless. I couldn't trade Pokemon. But I also did the missing no trick for like a couple of years. I had memorized the code to get Mew in the game. So I'm glad somebody else had this on their list.
Yeah, it was truly the game that, like I said, in terms of, I guess if Toy Story and Sonic CD were really my introductions into the gaming world, Pokemon solidified it because every chance I got, I played that. And moving on to Final Fantasy VIII here. I mean, this is interesting because this is technically a game that I didn't play until much later. I didn't play this until I was in college, like in terms of like actually playing the game. But the reason why I have it on here is because this was when I lived in Michigan at the time. I had a next door neighbor. He had a PlayStation and I had a Nintendo 64. I would go over his house and I would watch him play Final Fantasy VIII, and seeing the visuals and like the combat of that game just blew my 8, 9, however old I was, 10-year-old mind. Just watch it. I would sit there and watch him do the summons and just be blown away at how like graphically the game looked like real life to me. Like watching Ifrit come and do like the hammer on the comet and bring it down, like that blew my mind every single time I saw it. So I could have picked not any other Final Fantasy, but really the one that I was thinking about putting on this list was 10, because that's really the Final Fantasy that not only like solidified my view on like JRPGs, but like the narrative of JRPGs, but for me it's probably my favorite Final Fantasy. But 8 is the one that actually introduced me to the franchise, and from there, even though I didn't get a PlayStation until much later, I was hooked. I knew it was something that I had to come back and play at some point. Moving on, Golden Sun. When I got my Game Boy Advance, this was the franchise that I played so much of. Much like Pokemon Red, I was totally engrossed in it. Like the characters, the battle system. I love the summons in it. Man, the music. Oh, the music. There was actually like a mode in the game where you could go to like a tavern and you could listen to the soundtrack from the game. I would just sit there and just play the soundtrack. I remember playing it when my parents would go on road trips. I would be in the car just playing the games in there, the back seat with my headphones on, just listening to the music. So in a lot of ways, that also got me into video game music and just RPG music in general. Metroid Prime. I had played first person shooters up until this point. Like I had played The World Is Not Enough on Nintendo 64, and I played GoldenEye. So I played like the James Bond shooters, but I had never really played like anything like Metroid Prime in terms of like a more not narrative, but like atmospheric style of first person shooter. Like this set the tone for me in terms of the type of first person shooter games that I like to play. Like I like to play the more narrative or more like atmospheric based shooters, kind of like BioShock. BioShock's the best comparison that I can make. Yeah, so Metroid Prime, I thoroughly enjoyed playing that game. It really was it's one of the best games on GameCube, and I'm glad that Metroid Prime 4 is coming out. I'll definitely get that when it's available if it's good. Fingers crossed. They hadn't said too much about it, so I'm a little worried, but we'll see. Resident Evil 4, this was one of the best games of its generation. When I got this on GameCube, actually, I think this was, you got the game, Devin. You let me borrow it, right? I think.
Probably so, because I do remember you let me borrow Golden Sun. That's the first time I played this. I probably so, because I had this on GameCube.
Yeah. Devin and I grew up, just for context, Devin and I grew up in the same town, and so we would exchange games every now and then, or I like go over his house, he go over mine, etc. But yeah, Resident Evil 4, when I played that was my first real like survival horror game and third person action game. Man, I remember there was a night where I stayed up for like almost 24 hours just to beat the game. I was that engrossed into it. It was amazing. Doorbell. Yeah. Moving on to Devil May Cry 3. When I finally got rid of my GameCube and got a PS2, this was the first game that I got, and this got me into character action games. I heard the Devil May Cry series before, but this was the one where everybody was talking about it. I was like, you know what? I got to get into this. And I thoroughly enjoyed that game. I still play those type of games to this day. Marvel 3, specifically Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. This one, I put this one on here because technically it isn't my first fighting game. Not at all. Like I could date my fighting game experience back to like Street Fighter 2 or even Soul Calibur 2. Soul Calibur 2 was the one that I played the mess out of. But in terms of the fighting game that made me a real fighting gamer, like the one that I put the most amount of hours into in terms of being in the lab, going to tournaments, playing people on college campuses, it was Marvel 3. To this day, I could still see myself hopping in the lab and probably finding something new. Like it was that type of fighting game, and my love from fighting games grew just from playing that. And lastly, Control. I have Control on here because it introduced me to the Remedy verse. I had heard of Alan Wake, Quantum Break, and the other stuff that Remedy has done before, but I had never played any of their games. I know people are going to throw stones at me, but I've actually never played Max Payne. That's just because I didn't have a PS2 at the time it came out, and I got a PS2 much later, and by then, I mean, it wasn't as relevant, so I just didn't get a chance to play it. But hopefully those rumored remakes, when they happen, I'll be able to tap in. But yeah, Control's the first Remedy game that I played, and from there, I'm hooked on Remedy's universe. Remedy is one of my favorite developers now. I now have played Alan Wake. I'm on Alan Wake 2, and pretty much any release that Remedy puts out, I'm looking forward to. They make really original, really unique narrative games, and yeah, I'm looking forward to more that comes from that studio. So these are the games that I would say define me, or the games that you can use to get to know me.
All right. Next up, list looking something like Will because it can only be because I'm pretty sure only Will would have had Dead by Daylight on there. So what's up, Will? What made you choose these games? Like, what was the logic behind building your list? And then, like, just tell us about it.
I mean, well, really, the logic behind my list was for me kind of just really almost like Terance, even though mine is kind of disordered. I kind of went through time, just like going through my head, like, okay, what games did I really play a ton of as a kid, and what kind of led me to playing more and more and more of those as I've like gotten older. What franchises ended up sticking out to me? What games stuck me into the franchises that I play a lot of, and just a lot of, my history, because my history with gaming is pretty varied, and it started way back when on like Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. So I think I kind of start my list from the right going to the left, because I'm kind of looking at it now. I'm like, yeah, this release window looking kind of reversed instead of the way Terrence did his.
You definitely don't have to do the way that I did mine. I just did it just because in my head it helped me kind of set up the story of it all.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of rather do it that way anyway, because it makes sense now that I'm looking at how it lined itself up. So yeah, starting off from the right of my list here, we got Street Fighter II Champion Edition and Super Double Dragon. As a kid growing up, I had the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. Mind you, I am an only child, so do with that information what you will. Super Double Dragon was like my introduction to beat 'em ups over the time, and I love that game a lot. I played it a ton with people, like friends in the neighborhood, and with some family members here and there. It was just a fun time overall. And then as I got older, I learned that it was practically a beta in a way. If I ended up having to learn that, because Japan ended up getting like a finished version of the game that actually had like somewhat of an ending to it. Ours didn't really have one. So like ours like didn't stop at a certain point. It's just like once you beat the boss, it was like, all right, that's it. But in Japan, they got like a detailed like, hey, this is how the story ended. I'm just like, oh, okay then. Well, there's that. And then there's Street Fighter II Champion Edition. I remember it because I had that exact cover art, that exact like hard shell black box for the Genesis game. Yeah, and I always looked at it as a kid. I remember it so well. I was just like, man, I remember having this on the Sega Genesis, playing it a ton. Same thing as something, and it really kicked off my love for fighting games. So I had that, and then I jumped into Super Street Fighter 2 that was on the Sega Genesis. I played Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo, and it just kind of kicked off my love for Street Fighter and fighting games as a whole. So that's why I really have that up here. It's one of those foundational games for me. I loved it a ton. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, like I said, I had both a SNES and a Genesis at the same time, and I also played Sonic the Hedgehog 2 a ton. Even though I never beat that game as a kid, not until like probably like much later I got further in it, still hadn't beat it, but it was just something that sticks out to me because it was so fast paced, so high energy, great music and all that. Like it's stuff that sticks with you as a kid when you play it a ton. Like I did, I played it a lot before I went outside. Like it would be something I would play before I went outside or after I came back in from smelling like outside. So it was a fun time for me playing Sonic the Hedgehog 2 with my cousins, and then whenever they would come over, spend the night and whatnot as a kid, it was just great times. Now, I know this is a bit of an oddball. I know some of y'all may have seen this one before, but Carmen Sandiego's Great Chase Through Time, because that game came to me when I went and made this list. I was like, I remember playing this so much because it was like going through history, like different spots in like history from like the Mayans, the Incas, going through spots in like London, this, that, and the third, and you have to solve these like puzzles, like talk to people, talk to historic figures in those time periods to help figure out who this other person is that's causing these issues in the area. Like once you get through doing it, these time cuffs would link up. When they light up, you have to put the cuffs on a certain spot on a certain screen to find the person that was causing the problems. It was just a bunch of fun for me. I got really far in that game, but then I never finished it because I think I got stuck on something that was like losing me, and it might have been in the Incas level. But it's still one of those like games that I remember on PC because I had like a CD book on an old Dell desktop. And it was like a CD book, sleeves full of PC games from the Carmen Sandiego, some of the learning games, Sega Smash Pack. I had a lot of that as a kid, but this one right here stuck out to me because I played it so much, and I also liked Carmen Sandiego at the time as well. So, but going further into my gaming history, I'll tie in Final Fantasy 8 and 10 at the same time. Final Fantasy 8 and 10. 8 really was my kind of start into the Final Fantasy franchise. Like I played 7 before, but I didn't go very far with it. That's going to be kind of a theme with a lot of this shit because I come back to it later and I end up actually doing a lot better in it because, well, I'm an adult now and I understand how the system works. Final Fantasy 8 really enthralled me with how well it looked and how cool it looked at the time. And I'm just like, I want to keep playing this. I enjoy this game soundtrack, but I love playing it so much. And I'm just kind of like fiddling with the junction system. I'm just like, okay, maybe if I put this magic here, this will do something. Maybe this will do this. Maybe this will do that. Like, I'm not understanding it, but I'm doing something. I'm pressing buttons and something's making some type of sense. I'm doing a little more damage. My magic's hitting a little bit harder. I don't know what, but I'm doing something. And everything just kind of clicked with me with this game. And even though 9 had came out not too long after the fact, when we got to 10 is what really hooked me into playing Final Fantasy and JRPGs in general. Like 10 really did that for me. It did everything under the sun, from the voice acting, the storytelling, the graphics, the music, just atmosphere, all of the above for that game. And it's still like one of the games that I tell everybody, hey, if you hadn't played it, give it a shot. I know a lot of people are still having their first time with this game these days. I'm just like, wow, y'all really missed 10 and y'all are going back and playing it. Shout out to y'all for playing it, because it's really one of my favorite like Final Fantasies of all time. It's like one of them. And I will forever and a day like vouch for it as a great game to play. Now for Resident Evil 2, I'll never forget this game because it scared the hell out of me the year it came out. It did, as a kid, mind you. So I'm like, let me go over here. One of my friends had a PlayStation, and his older brother had a PlayStation, and he had Resident Evil 2. So me and him went upstairs and played it. Me and my friend went up and played it. Me and him about the same age. We were playing it. We died a few times, but it was spooking me. But I didn't bitch out. But then when I got home, it fucked me up at night because I was sleeping. And I was like, nope, I can't do it. After a couple of days, I got over it. But it took me years later to finally come back to it on the PS3. And I got to it, and I played it, and I ran through both sides of both AB scenarios and beat it. I was like, you know what? This ain't even that bad. And ever since then, I've been a fan of the series. I love it. Anytime I see a Resident Evil game, I play them because of RE2. RE2 does it for me every single time. It's like my favorite in the series, the remake and the OG. I highly recommend them.
Amazing.
Yeah, I highly recommend them as a fan of the series. I always say get into those games. They're fun. Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. First game I ever bought on a Game Boy Advance with my own money. That was the first game I ever bought with my own money on the Game Boy Advance. And it was my first step into the Metroidvania style of gameplay, because it very closely follows what Symphony of the Night does, just in a different setting. It's not a Belmont, but it's this guy here. But it was very fun at the time. It was very different. And I'm just enjoying the exploration. I love how as more powers you get, the more stuff just kind of opens up to you. That's what really got me for real. I was enjoying going into that game, getting lost in it, gathering the souls, beating up enemies, beating up bosses, running into death, but then seeing something I couldn't get past, getting the soul for it, being able to go to it. I was like, oh, so that's how this works. It was just a thing that let me know that, like, hey, if you just go back and forth, you adventure, you kill things, you get it done, you'll get through these games. And Metroidvanias have now been a staple in my collection for the longest. Persona 3 FES. I didn't pick up this series till 2011. I didn't pick up Persona till like 2011. Learned about the series, told myself, hey, we gonna play this game. But I had to get a recommendation from an old high school classmate when I was in community college. And he told me, hey, bro, go ahead and play it. It's great. You're gonna love it. 300 hours later, I was like, yeah, I see why he liked it. I beat that game numerous times.
I was going to say, oh, but it take 300 hours to beat that game.
No, I did take 300 hours to do it, but it took me 300 hours just to beat it numerous times. And now I'm a huge fan of the Persona series. I'm even playing Persona 3 Reload right now. I'm almost at the end of that. I'm reaching 100 hours, but we there. We getting done. And I really do love the Persona series. And Dead by Daylight is one of my current defining games for me, because I picked that game up when it came out in 2016. I've been playing it ever since then. It's literally, if I had to be like simple about it, it's glorified hide and seek almost, but you got to fix 5 generators to get out of the match with the killer. And every killer is unique. And I've been with this game from day one, and I watched it evolve bit by bit. I've watched it like gain graphics updates, add new killers, add new lore, add new this, add new everything. And it's just kind of one of those games that's kind of near and dear to me. And I've met quite a few people playing the game as well. So it's a game that I stand by. It's still janky. I will admit the devs are definitely some dumbasses at times, but that's neither here nor there. It's still a game that I find a lot of fun in playing. I got probably a couple thousand hours in it because I play it so much. But I enjoy it. I still say DVD is pretty fun in its own way if you know what you're doing or if you don't care about it. It's just sad that it's kind of being like more of a casual game, but people are turning into this big competitive thing, and you know how that come with online multiplayer games. People get competitive and they want to be bitches to everybody. Yeah, they want to sweat. They want to be like, I'm better than you and all that. I'm just like, it don't matter, bro. It's 4v1. You're the killer. Come find me. And half the time, most of y'all can't find me anyways because you're too busy tunneling somebody.
Crazy to think that game is almost 10 years old. That's wild.
I know.
I was just about to say, because it's still going. They put out a new killer not that long ago, huh?
Yeah, it's that Thai killer, the Krasu, which is actually a legend across the way. So yeah, we're getting ready for another one. I think in like another month or two, they'll be getting ready to put us another one out.
So a rare occasion of a games as a service that actually worked out.
Yeah.
But it's still just going the way. Like I imagine a lot of AAA studios wish they could have had that level of success with their games as a service project.
Yeah, and especially getting the crossover licenses that it does get, because it did get The Walking Dead recently, and I think there's another license one coming up soon too. So I don't know who it is, but we'll see when the time comes.
So before I go to the next one, Will said something interesting that I want y'all to think about real quick and see if you can give me an answer. Will brought up how Castlevania was like the first game he ever paid for with his own money. Do y'all remember the first game you ever bought with your own money?
Ooh, man.
There's some GameCube games that I'm trying to think. It might have, maybe Mario Sunshine, maybe.
This is hard for me.
Yeah,
I didn't get a lot of money growing up.
I'm trying to think a little bit further, because I did say it was my first Game Boy Advance game I paid for with my own money. There is some I did buy before that, but that's.
I will say that
I
used to trade in games like a lot. I would get games and I trade them back in to get new games, and so that was kind of my way of moneying the system, I guess.
Devin, what'd you say? Like you said, you remember what was your first game?
It was Pokemon Blue for me, I believe.
Okay, I see.
I think I remember. I could be misremembering, but I'm just gonna say, fuck it. This is what happened. I got Final Fantasy VIII from a pawn shop on sale. And I remember we used to go to this pawn shop all the time, and I saw it in there, and I was like, "We come back to this pawn shop, I'm getting that game," because it was on sale because it was on pawn shop, right? And so I got it, and then like I remember like the cover was cracked, and shit. But I think that was the first game I actually bought my own money because it was like cheaper, and I was able to save up for it. So I think that was my first one.
I think my first game that I paid for was Star Ocean 2. I'm not sure, because I remember going away for a little while to my cousin's place in New Orleans, and my cousins used to work for their dad at their truck shop, and I went up there for a little bit, and I got a little money, and I came back, and when I came back when I came back home, I was like, oh, what they got out, because it was during the summer, and I saw Star Ocean, and I mean, I've always been a fan of sci-fi games, and so I was like, yeah, let me get that. So I think that's it. If not, it would have been a PS2 game.
Okay.
So.
Respect.
Yeah.
I wish I could. I never really got into the what Terance brought up, like trading games in to play new games. That would have been a smart way to go about it, but I definitely never got into it like that. Yeah. I was like, oh man, but what if I want to replay games, even though I've only replayed a handful of games in my life? So.
I agree. I will say this too. I think about the game. I also thought about the games I purchased as an adult, like out of college, ain't no parents around, just me. I think the first game I ever bought as an adult was Tekken 6.
Ooh. In college, the first thing I bought was a PS3.
There you go.
Like I found that bitch on sale, and I saw it on sale online, because at that point I think they were already starting to sell the PS3 Slims, and I was like, no, I don't want that. I want the classic, the fat, the giant silver. Well, not silver, but like the glossy black one. I wanted that one, so I went and got it. And I waited to get two games that disappointed the fuck out of me. So that's probably why I don't care too much for that generation. Because I went and got Final Fantasy 13 and Star Ocean 4. It's like, man, I
don't feel bad. It disappointed me too.
Threw away money on it.
I played a lot of better games after that, so I was like, good. But yeah, those games pissed me off, especially like franchises I fuck with.
Right?
We know
This
what
looks
list
like
this
Devin. With
Yeah,
Bloodborne and
first
Jet Set
game.
Radio. Oh yeah.
Jack 2, yeah, boy.
Jack 2, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like the ideology for this is just really my favorite games all time. Like, I feel like those overlap, all of it overlaps. You want to get to know me, I'm gonna just tell you my favorite games all time. Jack 2, you already know if you watch the podcast, I'm the biggest Jack 2 stan there is. Jack 4 is coming out next year, the year after that, and the year after that. You just wait on it. Jack 2 is basically this is like a successor from Crash Bandicoot, because I love Crash Bandicoot. I love platformers. And basically, Jack was the new helm to that. He was the new platform on PlayStation 2 from Naughty Dog. Jack and Daxter was a phenomenal game, but it was just more aligned to, just conventional Crash, but it was more open world at the time for what we had. Aside from Crash was like level based for the most part. And then they bring out Jack 2. And it's like, we're going to combine that plus Grand Theft Auto. And this is probably one of the few times, aside from like Kingdom Hearts, that I can think of, where you combine things you thought that's not going to work. And it worked. Like it worked so well, like to go from such a happy-go-lucky to this like dark and gritty world, which it still had like the humor and stuff there. You still got Daxter, just wacky, goofy sidekick. I just loved it. Everything about it, the gameplay, it was just fun going around the city. The platform was still there. They introduced the morph gun. It was a good time, man. A good time. And I just hate, so probably one of my biggest gripes is just Naughty Dog, just like, hey man, we gonna take Jack and throw him out back like old Yellow. Makes me want to cry, man. Next up, Ultimate Marvel 3. If y'all know me, I'm a big fighting game head. This is this ain't recent, but more recent than like some of the ones I played, like my first fighting games, like Street Fighter 2. I love going into the lab. I love finding stuff, discovering new things, the team dynamic of just like combining different characters to figure out like what type of gameplay you want to do. It's just a fun game. It's like Terance mentioned, you could go in the lab, find some new stuff, even to this day, which people still are. This one is close to me because I've done YouTube content off this, or like combo videos. I used to go to tournaments for this, so this game holds a really special place in my heart. Probably, I would say it's probably my favorite fighting game of all time. So again, like I said, some of my favorite games of all time are linked to what games I would say to get to know me. And next up, Bloodborne, my favorite PS4 game. The game that kind of got me into Souls. My first foray into Souls was Demon Souls. I played Demon Souls for like maybe 10 minutes and I cut it off and I took it back to GameStop.
I did the same thing.
I was like,
nobody knew. We didn't know what we were playing back then. I promise.
I was like, man, this just quite ain't it for me. But Bloodborne, I remember I was back. Shout out to James, is one of our homeboys, James Cox. He was playing this, and he got me in. I saw him playing. I'm like, man, this look real good. And this is like one of my first PS4 games I got. And I got into one thing like about it was just aesthetic. It was like this horror vibe, this like the atmosphere is so like just dark and gritty, and like the time period, everything that like the environments and stuff just look so cool. The weapons, like how they transform, everything about this game to me just screamed cool, right? Visually, it's not great. Like if you're talking about like the fidelity of the graphics, but the art style is what like holds this game up. Because if you look at like the character created and the faces and stuff, they look atrocious. But the art style and just the environment is what holds it up, and the vibe. Just a great game. I played this game so much. It was definitely one of those things like it's hard, but I was like, I just wanted to keep going and progress. I think I died like 20 times in like the first 10 minutes of the game, but it was just like I feel like I can still get this, And then once you get it, you're like, oh, okay, it just starts to click. It's like this, these endorphins that start to click. I played this game up to like 25 hours. I remember vividly playing this game, and there was a thunderstorm. The lights went out, and my data got corrupted. And you know what I did? I just started the game over. I just started the game over and got back to where I was like in half the time. I was like, oh, okay, I can play more of the game. All right, cool. Like I was like, I just started immediately over. Like, oh, my data got corrupt. Cool. All right, new game. Let's start over. So yeah, I freaking love this game. It basically started my love for the Souls game. So Bloodborne, shout out to that game. Final Fantasy VII, y'all know me. This is my absolute number one favorite game of all time. It's the game that solidified RPGs for me. I did play Pokemon, and that was technically my introduction. But 7 is what solidified it overall for me. Like that style, like the characters, just the magic, the summons. This game did it all for me. I remember like I played this game for the first time ever. My brother rented this from Blockbuster, and then we had a snowstorm, which is kind of messed up because I couldn't even play it because the power was out like half the time that he rented the game. I'm like, bruh. But watching him play this, and I'm just sitting there like, man, this looks so dope. Like I really want to play this. I started playing the game. It just something about it, just the way it looked, the sound, the traversal, just the battle system, which I know a lot of time people hate turn-based. So I don't want to stand on one side of the screen. I just never had a problem with this. And it's just to this day, man, it's like probably the most influential game to me. I don't have a tattoo yet, but if I were to get a tattoo, my first tattoo would probably be something FF7 related, probably a Buster Sword or Materia or something. I even customized my PS4 when Remake came out, like with the FF7 colors. They came with like a Shinra card. I like put the Shinra card on it. So this game, like, it's just that game for me. So if you want to get to know me, definitely FF7 is one of those games. Metro Fusion. I wanted to put Metro Prime on this list for sure. I wanted to also put Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow because I played the heck out of that game. But I think this is the game that really solidified Metroidvanias for me. Because also Zero Mission is another one that I freaking love on Game Boy Advance. But Metro Fusion was just awesome. And I think I might have borrowed this from you as well, Terrence. Didn't you have this?
No, I didn't have Fusion.
I borrowed this from somebody, I feel, or maybe I bought it, but this game was so amazing. Just the exploration, the abilities and stuff. It's just I just love those types of games where you go to an area you can't get through because you got to get some new item. You go find a new item, you come back, now you're well equipped to, fight this enemy or open this door or do whatever, blow up a wall or something. It's just such a dope game. Introducing the like that Metroid that basically turned into like the first Dark Samus. That was so freaking dope. Like running away from her. She's almost like a nemesis enemy on Game Boy Advance. So yeah, I got a definitely big shout out for that because I still love Metroidvania to this day. Symphony of the Night, currently Hollow Knight. So yeah, this is a big inspiration for like my love of Metroidvanias. Ocarina of Time. I feel like if FF7 was my favorite game of all time, it'd be Ocarina of Time, be hot close second. I first played this game, and when I tell you I was blown away by how this game looked, I was like, there's no way this game looks like this. The sound, the music, the dungeons, the going from young Link to adult Link, or technically teen Link, I guess. It was just a time. I'm telling you, I remember like sitting in the opening and just listening to that thing, just letting it play, watching him ride the horse. This game holds a special place in my heart. Probably my favorite Zelda game of all time. Jet Set Radio, what can I say? A game like that was one of the first. It wasn't the first cell shaded game, but it was like one of the most impactful. It was still one of the first, but it was like one of the most impactful when it came out. I was just like, this looks so dope. Of course, y'all know I have an art background, so I love things that look fresh and unique and had like this real like artistic and graphic feel to it. I love extreme sports games. I love stuff like SSX and Tony Hawk. So this was like, hey, you're combining like doing this cool graffiti artwork with like extreme sports inline skates. I'm like, I'm in. I freaking love this game. I'm happy that we got like a successor to it, and then supposedly supposed to be getting a new version. So I can't wait to see that game. Ninja Gaiden Black. Ninja Gaiden Black. I think this kind of solidified me like in hard games. Because I played this game, it's hard. It's a hard game. I wanted to put Devil May Cry on this list, but I just think that I like Ryu Hayabusa as a character build. I just think he's cool. His get up is just so cool. He's just such a cool character. And this game was like one of the first games where I really had to like try and like figure out, okay, how do I get better at this game? How do I figure out how to beat these enemies, counter the stuff they're doing? Because you can't go in button mashing Ninja Gaiden. You're gonna have a bad time. And it got to the point where I was getting good at the game. I could play the game on Master Ninja. They had like a mode where you could fight like multiple bosses at the same time. And it was one of those games like, because sometimes you play a game like, I'm kind of scared to play this game because it's hard. But it was the first game I feel like where it said, okay, just try it. Like, why are you scared? It's just a video game. Just try it. Like, you might, okay, I can't beat this because it's two bosses. Well, how do you know if you ain't tried yet? So this game, of course, it's a dope character action game, but also it's just like, hey man, like don't be scared of hard games. So I think that's why I like Souls games now, because of Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden to me was one of like the original Souls games in terms of like its difficulty. Prince of Persia, another game that I'm pretty sure I borrowed this from you, Terance, because I think I borrowed all these games.
I'm glad you put this on this list because it almost made it to mine.
Yeah, man, Prince of Persia. When I tell you, I would, man, I don't know what I trade, but I would definitely trade a lot to not have Assassin's Creed and have this game still going strong, because I prefer this so much more over that game. Prince of Persia
just had
Sands of
2
Time.
Prince of Persia games last year.
No, okay, I'm not talking about no side scroll. I'm talking about Sands of Time style, Two Thrones, Warrior Within. That's what I'm talking about. These games were fire. It was just something about it. His movement, the combat, the traversal, like he's like running on the walls, swinging on poles. It's just like everything about this game was just cool to me. The reversing time mechanics, the special powers he had, such a dope game. I wish that we get a remake. I don't know where it's at. Hopefully it's good. But
man, that remake's been delayed so much now that it's gotta be great. Like, if it's not great,
it need to be.
I don't know anymore, man.
I would hope. But definitely a blast from the past and like a classic in my eyes, especially Prince of Persia Sands of Time. Two Thrones and Warrior Within were also good, but I think this is probably one I prefer out of all of those.
Yeah.
And last one, Need for Speed Underground. If you don't know, I love racing games, especially like kind of games that kind of tie the realism with the arcadey style. And Need for Speed Underground was that game. It also had a lot of customization. I love customizing cars in games. Just the sense of speed. The visuals were great at the time. For some reason, every time you put a racing game that's at night, it looks better.
Yeah.
It's like this game I love this game. Need for Speed Underground 2 was also a great upgrade, but just this being the first one, it was just such a good game. And I just don't think they've quite captured the feel of Need for Speed Underground since then. Some of the new ones are kind of okay, like you got Unbound and Heat, but it's just something about the Underground series that 2000 soundtrack, Manny Fresh, real big, everything real big. Like these games were so much fun, man, and I miss them.
24s playing.
Oh yeah, yep. So yeah, these are some games I think that will be a pretty good elevator pitch just to get to know me.
Okay.
Like all the genres you had going on there. That was a very
solid you had a lot of variety on that bitch.
Yeah.
All right, Rajhkeem, what's the rationale behind building this list, and tell us about it.
Hey, okay. So one thing I can say off the top, my games are kind of all over the place. They weren't necessarily ordered, and that's kind of who I am as a person. I don't do well with organization. I do better with chaos. Anybody who knows me knows I like to go back and forth between games and not just play one game. I play a lot of different games. So this list was it wasn't super hard, but it's more difficult. So just know, like, in my mind, this list is double. I have like 10 more games that could have also made this list quite easily. But I wanted to talk about some early influences I had in my life. So like in the beginning, you see FF7, Legend of Legaia, Tekken 3. Those are like my youthful games that are like really defining for my tasting games. I'll start with Legend of Legaia actually, because it's the first role-playing game I actually ever played. I didn't know what a role-playing game was. I just saw dudes. I played a demo a long time ago. I saw a dude on a beach, and then it cut to this side view, and I was like, oh, this looks cool. It's like better graphics and 3D. What is going on? And Legend of Legaia is really cool because it's kind of the hybrid between Final Fantasy VII and Tekken 3. It's a role-playing game that has martial arts style combat and fighting game kind of identity in some of the combat. Really cool concept. Love the story of that game. Love the graphics. I think Legend of Legaia 1 especially. Like 2, Dual Cycle was on PS2 and it was decent. Nothing ever captured the spirit of Legend of Legaia 1 for me. It's just like that classic RPG feel. The exploration. It was an RPG where the whole world was covered in this fog. You didn't know anything that was going on. Like it was everything was new every time. And then the unique combat of the combo system that no other RPG. Some had similar ideas, but the way they did it was how they executed it was very different. With directions and stuff like that, you would discover moves by just experimenting. That was really fun. I think that was a really cool concept as well. And just that game and how it introduced me to how RPGs work with the narratives, the exploration, the combat. It really gave me and like carved the sense of identity and the taste of games I would play further. Then I played Tekken 3. I remember playing Tekken 3 specifically and just loving it. It was the first fighting game I personally owned. I was lucky enough to have an arcade in my area that had plenty of fighting games that I could experiment with. So I played pretty much every major series, Tekken, King of Fighters, Street Fighter, Fatal Fury, even the ones you wouldn't think about, Bloody Roar, Primal Rage. I got exposed to all of those because I had a really, really good arcade in my area. But Tekken 3, as many people know who are from my generation, was like a very defining fighting game for the PS1. And pretty much that was the game that took the reins from Virtua Fighter. Like I'm the king of 3D now. Like the way it portrayed the graphical increases, the variety of fighting styles, the emphasis of I remember like in the loading screen, your characters do katas. And it's like it felt like realistic, it felt like deliberate, and it had a high respect for martial arts. And I think to me, in my area, this fighting game took off like crazy. Everybody I knew was playing. I remember going to my house and I would have cousins. I have a lot of cousins. I have a very large family. We would have fighting game tournaments in my house with all my cousins just playing Tekken 3, just going back and forth. So this game has a very special place in my heart. Now, getting into Final Fantasy VII, I think enough can't be said about how genre defining this game was, how impactful this game was, what it meant for not only me as a person, what it meant for the PlayStation as a whole, and many young people in their first taste of role-playing games. I think Final Fantasy VII, to me, how it defined my view as a gamer was the narrative. Like the narrative concept for such a young kid was mind-blowing. I had to really wrap my hand around concepts I didn't completely understand at a very young age. And to me, I think that's actually healthy. I think it allows kids to kind of think outside that kid box and understand greater things that are happening in the world. Like as a kid, I was like, wow, why are they blowing up this reactor? And then like Barris explained that how Shinra is killing the planet by stealing resources to power its reactors in the city around you. But they're painting as the bad guys in the city. So it broke am I playing a villain? Am I playing a good guy? Am I doing the right thing? It's like a morally gray kind of story in the beginning. And then the characters were complex too. Like Barris is big, tough guy on a machine gun, but he's also a loving father to the girl he's raising. Cloud's this rough and gruff, stereotypical like soldier, mercenary dude, but characters around him, they kind of calling his bluff like, dude, you're not really like that. The game itself also, what more can I say about it? So many different things about this game were revolutionary. Combat was really good. The customization of the material system, really influential. The world of the Final Fantasy VII, how varied it was once you leave Shinra in this like future dystopian kind of future where a corporation runs a kingdom, and escaping from that and going to the outer world and Red 13 and monsters and ninjas and the weapons and all these different influences of like ideas, cultures crammed in one game. It's freaking incredible. And I gotta say, it definitely it definitely shaped my expectations for games. I didn't know games could do this. I didn't know games could tell a story like that. Like we all play Crash, we all play Spyro or Tony Hawk. We're just playing. This game made me sit down and think about shit. Like it made me sit down and actually think about, okay, what is going on in this world? Like, why is this person wrong? Why is the Shinra Corporation evil? Who is Sephiroth? Who is Cloud? Does Cloud know who he is? Why does these characters like contradict them? This is a really high concept stuff for a 9-year-old to understand. And I really appreciate Final Fantasy VII for doing that. Okay, as I go across the list, I want to go into MK9. So I also have a through line with type of games I like to play. If you know me, I love strong narrative games, which is why you see like Final Fantasy on this list, Legend of Gaia, Mass Effect, stuff like that. But I also love me a good old push a button, hit somebody in the face game. I gotta have both. I gotta have both of those. I gotta have both. I gotta have my somebody in the face game and my sit down narrative game. And I gotta have a balance. Mortal Kombat 2, 2011 or MK9 as we call it. I really liked this game because I had played fighting games before, as you see Tekken 3, played Soul Calibur 2, other games. Mortal Kombat Now is the first fighting game that made me realize that fighting games had like real depth to them, and I need to understand mechanics. Like I didn't care when I was a kid. I was pressing buttons, and you learn the basic combos. You beat your cousins. MK Now is the first game where I was in college now and playing against other people, Devin, for example, and you hit that wall. A lot of times in life, especially in fighting games, you hit that wall, you just give up. Like a lot of people just give up. They never go back to the game. They say, that's enough. I'll never be better than this. I hit that wall, and some of my brain was like, wait a minute. If he got this good, I can get this good. And that was the first time I actually like started looking at tournament footage and like watching videos, understanding how combos actually worked, understanding what I was doing wrong, what neutral was, how to play defense, and playing MK9 and getting understanding of it. And then my friends at the time, well, you are my friends, we all love this game. So we played it like every day, and then we played it for months and months and months and months and months. So it gave me an understanding of like, fighting games have way more depth to them than even they're on the surface. Like you see combos, you see maybe the story mode and like the multiplayer, and you think that's it. And like, man, there's a lot more to fighting games than you think. And I think that game coming out, the advent of Street Fighter 4, the online community growing, the tournament community growing, and then our exposure to everything, it made me realize like, wow, this is much bigger than I ever thought it could be. Like how people find the most depth out of games that some people just will never understand. Like my little brother never wanted to learn how to a fighting game. I tried to teach him Injustice. He said, I don't want to learn a fighting game. I just want to play buttons. And he never learned it. He didn't want to learn combos. He didn't want to learn nothing. He said, I do not, he told me to my face, I don't want to learn. I don't want to be as good as you. I just want to beat you one time in one round. That's it. But for me, I couldn't live with
rematch.
That. Yes. For me, I couldn't live with that. I hit my head against Devin 50 times. And I was like, you know what? This ain't working. I got to learn what the fuck I'm doing wrong. Then I picked Shang Tsung, and I started watching Wound Cowboy on the MK9 tournaments back in the day. And I was like, okay, let me learn a little something. I got a little better at fighting games. So MK9 has a special place in my heart because it made me realize fighting games have more depth to them. And I learned how to be a better player as a result. Mass Effect 2. Got to give it to Mass Effect 2. I really wasn't exposed to Western RPGs like that. Like, I'll give Mass Effect 2 and Dragon Age in the same company. Growing up, JRPGs were king. Like in my hood, everybody, they played an RPG, it was JRPG. We didn't play PC RPGs like that. We played console RPGs. And they were mainly like the JRPGs that were really popular because of Final Fantasy VII's explosive popularity. The genre boomed, and there was like hella JRPGs out. So more people I knew played JRPGs than Western RPGs. Dragon Age Origins, I remember getting that in college on Xbox. And it was a reach for me. I never played a game like this before, but I remember the advertising for this game kicked ass. It was like this crazy war. I love Lord of the Rings. So I was like, this looks like Lord of the Rings. I see these orc-looking dudes. They covered in blood. You fighting them in a warp. This is Lord of the Rings. Let me play this. So I played it, and I fell in love with the idea of the narrative, like the way Dragon Age Origins tells its story. No other Dragon Age even tells a story like this. It feels like you're reading a book. Like it feels like actual professional prose, a novel, the eloquence of the text, like the subtext of like what's happening in the story. If you go back, I played it recently, and it still feels the same way. Like I'm listening to this and like, man, people don't make dialogue like this no more. It feels like old English, but it's still told in a way that makes narrative sense. And if you read books or understand narrative or writing at all, it's going to click with you like that. So I will say Dragon Age Origins specifically, it opened my eyes to what Western RPGs had to offer as far as like storytelling, customization. I remember like I had several friends who played the game. I started as like one character. My other friend started as a different character. The beginning of the game was completely different for both of us, which was really cool. Not a lot of games do that. Like the whole opening of the game is different. You're in a different area of different missions. Everything's completely different. And I think a lot of people around me actually like this game as well. So that's why I knew like there's something to this game. But Mass Effect 2, Dragon Age Origins had the RPG systems, but the combat was off. Mass Effect 2 had it all. Mass Effect 2 had the RPG systems, the combat, the story, the vibe of it. There weren't a lot of sci-fi RPGs at that time. That game kicked ass.
And still ain't.
And it's still exactly. It's hard to even replicate. It was so good. And what's crazy is it was like if you were a fan of like sci-fi shows of the 2000s, or like those a mixture of like the Space Marine type shows and then like the more traditional sci-fi shows, this shit hits different. It hits on a different level. It's kind of hard to explain in that regard, but it's like a certain level of space opera storytelling that it tells that no other game gives you. We're just now getting games that are even attempting to really try to do it. So I will say this, like Mass Effect 2 was a big hit for me. I became a huge fan of that whole franchise because at the time when Mass Effect 2 came out, I had a PlayStation 3. Mass Effect 1 wasn't available on PlayStation 3 at that time. So I had to start with 2. I started with the second game in the series, never played the first. Luckily, it brought a collection out years later. I got to play the whole series. So that was really cool. So yeah, Mass Effect and Dragon Age, they exposed me to the Western RPG side and made me like more of a fan of like the customization. And now I've played games like like the Elder Scrolls, or the Obsidian RPGs like Avowed and Outer Worlds, and I can appreciate them more because of what those games did. It's kind of sad to see the state of those series now, though. That's unfortunate. God of War, I'm gonna go quicker with these last couple ones. God of War, self-explanatory, one of the biggest action series of all time. I put God of War 2018 as the example, but I really meant the franchise because I played most of the franchise. God of War influence on the action genre is like so big. I remember when people were trying to replicate God of War's action in different games because it was so popular at the time. God of War 3 especially, I remember it came on at the time when like Twitch started kind of coming up a little bit. And also all my friends had it, like literally, I think I remember it was like I had roommates, half my roommates had the game. I would literally see people playing the game like every day, a different person. It was crazy. It had so much influence. But God of War 2018, although I love God of War 1 and 2, especially, I really like those. God of War 3, I played it, but all my friends had it. So I pretty much just watched the game because everybody played it. Once I saw the whole game, I was like, I kind of don't want to play it now because I've seen everything. But God of War 2018, man, I was wondering what they were going to do after they took that little time off. They made that spinoff God of War game. It wasn't as well received. They came back with a completely different vision. It came with a tone that we weren't used to for Kratos. It came with like a new era, a new venture, new combat, a different perspective, and they nailed it. I think a lot of times when people see God of War, it's very divisive because some people just want the old God of War back and just that's it. But what was cool about God of War 2018 was that I was an adult now, and that game grew up with me. So it hit me differently because I was at an age where that game resonated with me more than the previous games narratively. And I think it hit that really cool sweet spot. Ragnarok is also good, but it's something about 2018, especially the story between Kratos and Atreus and like guiding his son on this journey to, release the ashes of his lost wife that really was compelling for me. I love the combat. I love the world. The Zelda-esque mechanics they added into it to give it more diversity because God of War, the old games are very linear. They had puzzles and action, but they were just like a straight through line. This gave God of War a little more depth as far as the world and the exploration, which I really enjoyed. So I give a shout out to that. I'm gonna go to the left and I'm gonna finish off with the last one. So on the left side, Trails of Azure. I'm just using this as a representative of the whole Trail series. Thank you, Sage, for putting me on Cold Steel 1. That was the game that dropped me into this huge franchise of RPGs that we know as the Trail series that is still going strong to this day, probably stronger than ever, to be honest. It was crazy to play. I'll tell you how I'll describe it. What Final Fantasy VII did for me as a kid, Trails did for me as an adult.
Yeah.
I feel like Trails picked up the mantle of like that long, hard, consistent series that I got from Final Fantasy that was lost. I feel like we were, after FF13 came out, there was like this divide where there was still some good JRPGs, but you had to kind of look for them. And then one is like, if I buy this, I'm gonna be happy. Like there was a time period, you guys who all had Final Fantasy on your list know this. If you saw Final Fantasy, you just bought it because it was that brand was that strong. And then 13 came out, and you all know I ain't lying. It just wasn't the same after that. Is it up and down? Maybe. People still like 13. People like 15. 15 is it. 16 I like, and the remakes, and even the remakes are kind of controversial for some people.
They've
I
all
like
been
both the remakes.
polarizing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
The remakes not as much. People just, I mean, like, you got some contrarians that don't like it. Most people just fuck with it. But like the 13, 15, 16, like they all polarize.
Yeah.
Honestly, the way you talk about Trails is the way I think of Persona in terms of like the franchise that I feel about like as an adult playing JRPGs.
Yep. I totally agree. So yeah, when I found the Trail series, due to Sage specifically, he got me into it. He kept talking about it, and I just tried it one day on sale. And I was like, oh crap, this is what I felt like as a kid. Not exactly the same, because Trails isn't quite like Final Fantasy. He does his own thing. But every time I pick up a Trails game, not only do I like it consistently, the difference it does from any other series is that it's connected. All of it's connected. So every game builds off the next one, and you know who the characters are. You understand something about the world. And so you are literally rewarded for your investment. And that's kind of hard to replicate with other RPGs. Just knowing something about a small character in one game could give you a huge benefit in the next game, like story-wise or impact-wise. And I'm still a big fan of the Trail series, still play it strongly to this day. So I thank Sage for that. Last two, Paladins. I put Paladins on this list specifically for like the multiplayer representative because I play a lot of multiplayer games. This was the longest multiplayer game I ever played. I think I played this game for 8 years straight. It became like my casual game. It became like the game I play with my friends. It's really sad now that it's discontinued, and High Red Studios is just really, really screwed up with all their games. Like they have really, I can't even describe. Like you talk about being upset at developers, that company dropped the bag on so many different games and series. It is ridiculous. They basically threw money in the ocean for like a decade and burned it, and then burned it on top of that. But Paladins was like such a cool FPS game because it had this Overwatch kind of system where you had the different heroes, but you could customize them. Like they had a card system where you could customize how they played in the matches. They had unique modifiers and like adjustments, and they had this round system where you would add items on top of that. So it had itemization of a MOBA, customization for your single characters, and it just had a dynamic to it that no other FPS really has replicated. Like now Overwatch has stadium mode, which is the closest thing I can think of to it. But there was something about Paladins, the vibe to it, the music, the cartoony aesthetic, the variety of heroes, just the times I played with my friends. We spent so much time playing Paladins on weekends, on after work, out for years. And I just remember like there was like one update where all my friends got pissed off and stopped playing. I was still playing. And then this one day, just like, you know what? That's it. Because High Res is incompetent. I'm unfortunate though. Hopefully Smite 2 can survive it. And lastly, I put on my last representative, Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight is on here because it is a representation of my love now for indie games. Shovel Knight was the first like big indie game I put an investment in that I absolutely loved. I remember playing Shovel Knight when I was in grad school on PC, and I played it, and I was like, this is dumb, simple fun. We're just hopping on people and using items, but it has so much like character and so much charm to it. The world looks so interesting and like dynamic, and it has like this Mega Man kind of identity with like the different knights, just kind of the different robots you would fight in Mega Man. And then on top of that, they added so much content to this game. They had 3 or 4 expansions, and all of them were free. If you own the base game, every expansion you got for this was free. Even the fighting game. They had a fighting game expansion to this where you play a fighting game with the characters, and it's free.
Yeah.
All of it. Everything they added to the game was free. They have 4 full expansions and a fighting game and a card game, and it's in there, and it's all free to just add it to the game. So like, it was one of the best investments of any game I ever had. I bought this game on PC. I bought this game on console. Man, I just love Shovel Knight. It's a good representative for how I got a taste of what indie games could be, because I had grown up buying console games and maybe some PC games, but not like independent games. And that was like my first foray into indies that I really loved. And then that's kind of built into like my love of indie RPGs now, combining the two, like the indie games and then the role-playing games I love from the past. So yeah, as a whole, this is kind of my list. Narrative-focused games, role-playing games, explorative games, fighting games because I like the balance of action and role playing, like storytelling and action. But sometimes I need a break between one or the other. Like right now, I played like 3 JRPGs last month, so now I'm playing like an action game now to kind of balance it out. The Western RPG influence that kind of came on me in college, I really enjoyed Dragon Age and Mass Effect, and it's just sad to see what happened in those games now. And then Paladins for my multiplayer, itch I missed. I hate this game is going down. It's going to be discontinued soon. And then Shovel Knight, just indie games. Indie games have really come up, and I think they've kicked ass in the industry. And Shovel Knight, I think, was a big part of like that big indie boom back in the day. And I really enjoyed it. I can't wait for the next game.
Solid. Nice little sense of variety here. And yeah, this definitely sums up. If I had to say what games will sum up Rajhkeem, this would definitely be it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Definitely.
It was crazy. I'm not even a Mario fan like that.
Yeah.
But Super Mario RPG has to be on the list, right? Like,
yeah,
I've told this story before, but like there was a time when I was a kid where I bought video games because like that's what you did when you were a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You got video games. Like your parents would buy you a little video game console. They're like, oh, the kids like this, you'll like this. And so I played a lot of different video games, like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I believe was my first the first thing I put into a cart, I like put a cartridge in and picked the controller up because I loved Power Rangers as a kid. But like that was something that I would have quit gaming. Like I would have eventually been like, all right, I'm done with this video game shit. But I went over to my cousin's house in Louisiana, and he had a gigantic collection of video games. Just like he had a drawer, like an actual, like where you put your clothes, but instead of like clothes, he just had video games in it. And I was like, oh shit, you got like a huge library of games. And I didn't even think about think to describe gaming as that, like a library of games, but that was the best way to describe it back then. He had like a Steam library, but in real life. And he was trying to hunt down this one game, and he went to multiple different Walmarts and called around to multiple different places trying to get Super Mario RPG. And I was like, man, what is this game that you're so excited about? And then he finally found a place that was going to sell it, and he bought it and brought it home, and he was so excited to play it. And I sat there and I looked at it and I was like, whoa, is this like a universe with a story? Because I was already a comic book fan, so I was already like into the idea of stories being told to me. I didn't just, that was the thing that let me know, like, okay, video games could be more than press forward on the controller, jump on somebody's head, punch somebody in the mouth. Like there could be a story. I said, oh shit. And I was caught up, and I'm gonna use a phrase to trigger some mecha anime fans. Like this was the game that helped me realize that unlike most games, this one's about the characters. Like I was like, oh, okay, this could be live. So even now, like I was so happy when they made that remake. I never finished the remake. I gotta go back. It's not that long of a game. But playing it, I can remember all the different parts, even though I hadn't played that game in decades. I was like, oh, I remember this part. This is when you go to this like mining village, or I remember this area when you like have to go down this fucking waterfall or whatever and control yourself and get all the coins. Fantastic game. Square did a great job of merging like their own storytelling sensibilities with the uniqueness of the Mario universe. The next one up is Lunar. This is the first time I ever just felt the magic of a video game, where you're just sitting there and you just suddenly feel like, wow, this is just fucking fantastic. Like you feel like the vibe and the aura. And I don't remember what specific moment. I think I was just going through a city after I just beat a boss or some shit, and I was going to like a new city, and I just felt the vibe, the feeling of an adventure. And there's just something so classical about Lunar. Like it is the quintessential JRPG to me. Like, yeah, there's Final Fantasy, but Final Fantasy's always been in like a universe of its own in terms of how it sets up its fantasy, how it designs its characters, its world, all that type of stuff. Lunar is like, it's the one that everybody's ripping off of, where it's like, oh, floating city, never seen that before. Oh, all these like anime ass tropes and shit, never seen that before. Like Lunar is that. That's where you get all that shit from. And it really is as good as advertised. I think they launched a collection earlier this year.
Yeah, the remaster collection.
Yeah, I have wanted to go back and play both Lunar 1 and 2 because I haven't played them in so long, but I love both of them. I was always sad that they never really went any further with that franchise, that it was just like those two games and they were like, oh, well, that's it. And I'm like, dang, like y'all don't care to like get the creator and team him up with somebody and make something. Nope. It was like, you got two. That's where you at. That's where you go stay, to use a common quote we use around here. Super Robot Wars 30, which is not, that wasn't the next game, but it's the next game that I had like listed out. That speaks to the giant robot fan in me. Like I am a mecha fan at the end of the day. It also speaks to the strategy game fan in me. Like when I found games like Final Fantasy Tactics, and after I found Final Fantasy Tactics, I knew I was like, I'm gonna want to play more tactics games. Yeah. And I picked Super Robot Wars 30 because it was the one that like speaks to not just the strategy RPG fan in me, like Tactics or Fire Emblem, but also the giant robots, because I do love those. It also allowed me to fall in love with franchises I've never even seen before. Like it gave me a chance to look into the Brave series, which is like a franchise of mecha anime from like the mid 90s that just it was annual for a few years, and then they were just like, it just went away after they released the best one. And or like Combattler V, that's another one that's like a 70s franchise that may be the first one with combining robots. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check that. But like just being able to play these and see these characters interact. And that's another thing that you get to see. Like, and you know, I complain about it, like the fact that there are so many games where it's just crossover, and it's all meant to just milk as much money out of you as possible. Super Robot Wars 30 kind of does that, but it's also just like the crossover is logical. Like all these characters are from mecha franchises, and it's fun seeing them interact. And you could tell like the writers really love those universes because they know how the characters would act, and they know how the characters would act in relation to each other. So like when Char finally turns evil after his time as being like a good guy in Zeta Gundam, everybody's like, you know what? You're a real piece of shit, Char. And everybody gets to call him out like after like, man, we spent so much time working together with you, doing all this heroic shit, and then you turn your back on it, you fucking trick. Like having these characters snap on each other or learn to make friends. It's just so great. I do want to play is V the new one? It can't be.
No, I don't think. I think it's Y, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Y. Thank you. Super Robot Wars Y. I will eventually play that. I'm waiting on the price to come down because it's insane to pay $100 for like a video game, and I'm not playing it without the music.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like if you buy the base game, it plays generic music in the fight scenes instead of playing like the themes of the actual characters being featured from their different animes. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I'll just wait it out. I am excited to play that.
Yeah. Essentially, it's the Isekai quartet of Mecha.
It is very much Isekai quartet of Mecha. And that's a great analogy. Marvel Midnight Suns. So that's not my favorite game of all time, but it works as like a pitch, as like, hey, how do you understand Sage? I'm a slut for superheroes. I always have been. Growing up, even like from 5, I saw superheroes and the costumes and the powers, and I was just dazzled. And then like eventually I started reading them, falling in love with the story and the universes. That's gonna come back up again. And so Marvel Midnight Suns is probably the best example of that. If it wasn't this, if Midnight Suns didn't exist, I would have picked Ultimate Alliance, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. The writing isn't perfect, but it is really good. It has a lot of elements that other people would not approve of, like all the stuff. Like when you finish a stage, you go back to this magic base and you hang out with all the characters outside the costumes. And I like that. Like I've seen people be like, did we really need that? Like, yes. I can remember a time in comics pre-2000s when it mattered what characters outside their costumes did, where it mattered, like you got to know who the characters were when they weren't punching a villain in the face. And so you get these moments where you get to go help Ghost Rider fix his car, or you get to go work out with Blade and all that type shit. And you get to hang out with all these different characters and see them not just interact with you, but each other. Fantastic work. Of course, again, like the tactical combat, really good. I know a lot of people get scared off by the cards. Don't let that fool you. It's not as complex as it seems. It really is just a different kind of battle system to master. I had a lot of fun with that franchise. So much. There was clearly a lot of love in that franchise in that game when they made it, and it sucks that it Marvel just wasn't at the level that it was. I think if that game had come out, because when did it come out? 2022.
That
Midnight
sounds right.
I think so.
I think so.
Who
Yeah,
made that again?
Fire
Yeah.
Axis.
They were the
Yeah, that was
XCOM
2022.
guys.
Around,
yeah,
it's
XCOM.
about
That's
to
who
be
I was.
3
I was.
years.
It was one of those tactical devs. Okay, there we go.
Yeah. I'll just say this. If that game had come out in 2018 instead of 2022, it would have been a hit. And I hate that it wasn't. I hate that, you know, we'll never see another game like that. And it sucks because, like, we're stuck with the usual, like, superheroes often get, like, shoved into a weird kind of
Box.
pigeonhole. Like, they get pigeonholed
That
into a
too.
box where it's like, hey, we're gonna make a fighting game. Like, all right, cool. We're gonna make, you know, one game, one character, and it's gonna be like a Batman Arkham game or a Spider-Man. Like, I like those. I actually really love those. I hope that I'll get to play another one with Iron Man. We'll see. Everything gets canceled these days. But
Yeah.
I would love to see more variety and a chance to see more of the characters getting to interact with each other, and you getting to see more of their personalities instead of it just being, look, costumes, powers. Like, that was what I liked as a kid, but I mean, like, I want a little more from my characters these days. Like a Dragon.
Yeah.
So I haven't really gotten
Yeah.
into Kiryu's story as much, but Like a Dragon, man, I cannot tell you how much I love that game and those characters. The idea of being able to start over at any age and exploring the level of strength that it takes to start over, because it's not just about, oh man, you can start over. Like, it takes a lot of internal strength, like willpower, to be like, hey man, I don't have nothing. I'm at 0 and I gotta build up from there. That's powerful shit. And like, there's this scene that I never will forget when Ichiban and Adachi and Nanma, after being effectively just homeless because they ain't got no money, no resources, no nothing, and then they finally tap in with this old woman and clean up like I don't know. I want to find a better way, a brothel. I
Yeah,
was gonna say
That's
something
what it
else.
was. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much what it was. You right.
They cleaned up a
Mhm.
brothel, and in return, they were given like this old shitty room, and they were just happy to have a room, just happy to have a place to stay. And man, when I tell you, just sitting, listening to them talk about starting from 0 and having each other to rely on as like a social network, just peak writing, peak character writing. Fuck yeah. And then just the game itself has smart social commentary about what you're willing to do to create a society that you feel is pure or white or pristine, and you know what that means to the community, the marginalized communities that you're looking away from. All of that shit, great shit. And then even the combat and the customization, the class system, the way that they managed to make a fantasy style class system work in the modern era, brilliant. And I mean, like, every time they release one, I don't buy a lot of video games. I do other things, play video games. I don't buy a lot of video games. I bought Like a Dragon, and I bought Infinite Wealth, and I don't regret it. I bought those at launch. Don't regret, not a penny spent. I spent so much time playing what was it, Dondoku Island and Infinite
Oh
Wealth.
my god.
Man, catching all the fucking what were they called, Keen?
Oh man, what are they called?
Not the Pokemon. Like, it was like Pokemon.
They were like
knockoff.
Pokemon. It was.
Yeah.
I know what you're
dang.
talking about because it's in the first game too.
You catch the villains. Well, in this one, you have Pokemon battles,
Okay, now that's
Yeah,
funny,
you do.
and you face the Elite Four. That shit was. I said, man,
Sujimon.
Thank
Sujimon.
you.
Yeah, thank you,
Sujimon.
Keen.
That was it.
Sujimon. That shit was fantastic. Like, I fucking love that shit.
Man, I played so much Sujimon. I had beat the Elite Four. The only thing I didn't do was get all the legendary Sujimon, but I got all the regular ones. I beat all the Elite Four. I had a crazy team that was kicking butt. Man, that game had crack in it or something. I don't know. That game was a game.
That's what I'm saying. Like, every game they put crack in them. I'm like, man, what's going on, man? How do y'all pull this off every time? Like, I don't know why. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna dim nobody else's light to make mine brighter or to make Yakuza's light brighter, but not enough people are tapping into the Yakuza universe. I know it's more popular than ever. It deserves more. It deserves all it's got and more. Lake is a strange game. If you've never seen me talk about it before, It's just a game where you drive around delivering mail. It's like this woman, she is in her late 30s, early 40s, I believe. And she goes back to her father's town or her old hometown. Her father's going on vacation, and she's like, all right, fuck it. I'm on vacation. She's normally a programmer, and she's like, I'm gonna just deliver mail. I'm gonna take this time out. And you got to think about what it says about a person that for vacation they do more, they volunteer to do more work. But like, she just decides to go back to her hometown and get in touch with all the people there and just go around the city doing a job. And I love these like really peaceful, atmospheric indie games. The driving was lovely. The idea of reconnecting with old friends, that's just like a powerful theme, especially as you age. So like, that's what kind of connected with me. I'm a sucker for any game set in a small town in the Pacific Northwest, as long as it's not trying to be a horror game. And like, the key to this is it's nice to have an indie game that isn't pixel art based. And I know a lot of people love their pixel art. Just about everybody here except me loves their indie games that are pixel art. I think that that's cool. And I'm not saying they should all go away, but I do think it's important to like think outside the box and create games that aren't just like, hey, this is back the SNES days, or we got to create the most hyper realistic Life Days Reborn ass game. Like it, there can be a middle, and Lake feels like it hits that middle, and it also feels like a game. I feel like there aren't enough of these where you get to play a video game that isn't about killing something. Like, I came to Lake not long after playing Genshin Impact while the brief time I was Twitch streaming, and like I was interacting with, I seen something I didn't know what it was, and I was like, I wonder what that is. And my first thought to interact with it was to hit it with a sword, and I was like, well, that's probably wrong. Like, you can't. Your first reaction shouldn't be to try to kill everything you see. And so I was like, man, maybe I should play some more non-violent games. And Lake came along, and I was like, oh, what is this? And I tapped in, and man, I've been a sucker for games like that ever since. There aren't enough of them. Life is Strange True Colors kind of hit that same vibe for me, I believe, in the same year. Fell in love with that game as well. So yeah, those, I don't see a lot of those, but when I do see them, I do try to tap in, see what they're about. Keep Driving kind of hit the same thing, even though it was pixel art. But I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes you in the indie world, you gotta go with the pixels, baby.
I was just gonna say, you sound like the dude from the Let's Play anime who is like, I can't kill this thing in the game. Oh, this game is terrible.
Hey man, you're not wrong, bro. That's how I was thinking about. I was like, well, actually, I thought the opposite. Like,
that's what I mean. Like, you were thinking the opposite of what he was thinking. I meant,
yeah. And I was like, man, you can't. That shouldn't always be how you react to things in video games. Like, you got to be more to it than just killing shit. Xenoblade X, that's another giant robot game. A lot of mecha games focus on the robots. They do the thing that people say that mecha anime does, but it doesn't do. A lot of mecha games focus on the robots to the exclusion of the story. This game does not do that. Every main mission feels like an episode of an anime, and everything that happens in between feels like the side stuff that happens between episodes, like where like you get all the extra shit. And I really love that vibe, that feel. Like, there's a massive fucking cast of characters that you can tap into. I really do need to play the definitive edition because I'm hoping they ironed out some of the kinks I had with the original version. But even the original version was like an 8 that I loved like a 10, which describes something else that we're going to talk about in a minute. Great mecha designs. Love the transforming mecha, the flying mecha. It is an incredible alien world unlike any other. Man, a lot of people will tell you, like, this didn't have to be open world. What did the open world add to this game? You cannot say that about Xenoblade X. When you play Xenoblade X, the first thing you're going to think is, man, this could have only been an open world game. Like, the way that it's set up, the way that it's designed, it's like, this could only be an open world game, man. Like, the fact that you can go to any area and it feels so uniquely alien, like, that's not Earth. Like, there are a lot of alien worlds where you like, oh, it's the same trees, the same snowstorm, the same everything. Like, you get to that place and you like, nah, this is an alien ass world, and it exploring it feels like you feel just as new to that world as the characters do. It's very cool. Sleeping Dogs. First time I ever fell in love with an open world city game. first time I ever played an open world game, I think, because I wasn't really into video games that heavily during the late PS2 era and during the early PS3 era. So like Sleeping Dogs was like one of the few games on the PS3 that I actually really rocked with. Riding around Hong Kong was just like, it got to a point where I would just turn that game on just to drive around Hong Kong. I wasn't finna do no missions. I was just riding around that bitch because it was fun to ride around, drive past people while the music was playing, all the unique songs, the unique soundtrack. The combat to this game just addicting in a way that like few games ever get. Like, it was simplistic enough so that anybody could pick it up, but like you still had to know what you were doing. You still had to like kind of figure out the combat system. So there was a little bit of depth to it. A perfectly designed open world. Like, some open worlds give you so much content that you just stop caring after a while. Where you like, all right, man, I get it. Like, you know, we there's enough here. Like, you was trying to justify the money. You did that a long time ago. When you play Sleeping Dogs, it's like it's like maybe 19 races. By the time you get to the end of the races, you feel like, I got enough. I don't need no more. The fact that you can redo them if you want, but you don't have to. Like, everything you do is just like, all right, I got everything I wanted out of it. And then the story on that is great. The characters are lovable. The characters are well written enough to feel like they come from a quality, not like an S tier, but like a solid B plus A minus tier TV show or movie. I still remember Jackie and all those other characters that you was, you know, having to deal with as you like as what's my man's Wei Shin had to infiltrate this gang and shit, and all the fucking memes, you know, like, I'm Wei Shin, motherfucker, who you like?
Who you?
Yeah. Fucking great game. Like, you going around dating all these girls, and finally all that two-timer come back on you, and one of the girls start cheating and then snap on you, like when you go spy on her. I had so many great memories with that video game. Let's do Power Wash, and then we'll go back to Trails. I never really knew I had a love for sim games like that until I played Power Wash. Like, I'd always see the sim games and be like, why would anybody want to do this? But there's just something relaxing about watching something get clean. As, you know, tons of people can attest, like the carpet cleaning videos and like all that shit that became popular online for a little bit. Like, it's just something relaxing about it, and just being able to do it. And like, it's a good, I'm playing a podcast in the background game. Like, I'm listening to a podcast and I'm just watching this thing get clean, and you can just zone out. And it's just you almost enter like a state of zen as you play it. And like, I'm so happy that the sequel is out. Looks to be an even better game than the first, even though randomly they threw in a Hellraiser reference. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was playing the game. I got to like the third stage. They was like, yeah, you finna go to the Trilobite house. I said, what? Them the aliens or the demons from Hellraiser. Yeah. And it was like, yeah, when the Trilobite, when this house appeared, my wife vanished. I wonder what happened to her. I said, oh my God. I assume because it's a, you know, cleaning universe that like when I clean up the house, the wife will just pop back up. But who knows? And then like as you play it, was like this eerie music playing in the background. I'm like, okay, so they're having fun with this universe. I mean, they have been having fun. They done sent the main character to every universe you could possibly send him. They had him cleaning up shit in the SpongeBob world. I said, all right, man, how you washing stuff off underwater? This man, the ultimate cleaner. And then, yeah, of course, Trails. I picked Daybreak because I really do love Daybreak. And I'm going to come back to that in a second. But the ultimate thing behind it is I love, like Keem said, this game, when I played it, it made me feel, it rekindled that feeling of playing PS1 JRPGs. Like, it just made me feel like a kid again when I played Cold Steel 1, picked the controller up, and just the vibe. It felt like that, but updated for the new generation. Also, I just love world building and wider universes. That's why I fell in love with superheroes. That's why one time I pitched an idea of like Falcom working on a DC or a Marvel game, because I just I love the idea of a world that constantly builds on itself and feels like a living, breathing universe. No other franchise except maybe Yakuza has ever gotten close to that. I also like the fact that it's a modern fantasy that's more fantasy than modern, because it's not really our world. But I love fantasy universes, and I think Trails is probably the best one, because too many other ones just get too dark at this point. It's like they're trying to show how serious an adult they can be by showing how fucked up they can be. And Trails still has its dark elements, as Keem could attest to, but it's not just like fucking depressing. it's got great characters, mostly likable characters for the most part. Like, very few. Like, there's a handful where I'm just like, all right, get the fuck out, and I just try to avoid them. But the good part of that is there are so many characters that are playable that you can never see the characters you don't like ever if you want. Awesome customization for the battle system, which is fun. It's not like the customization for these characters. Like, you could create endless builds, like especially in like Cold Steel 3, 4, Reverie. Man, the amount of builds that you can create, like you can do whatever you want with any character. You can turn a giant sword lady into a mage. It's like, why is she casting spells? Because you can. The game will let you do it. It has some weaknesses, no doubt. Like, but I overlook them because it's just there's a feeling that I get when I pick that game up that just is unmatched by any other game. So yeah, and I picked Daybreak because it, like, even though I'm playing Trails in the Sky first chapter right now, which is like the remake of the first game, I still kind of want to go back to the modern game because I'm like, man, I miss the laptops and the cars and all
The
that other shit. I miss the modern tech, man. Like, what's going on, man? Like, I'm over here walking around doing everything on foot. The airships, you can't even get on them. Like, hey, man, cut that shit out. Give me the cars back. Give me all my shit back. So, but yeah, that's why I picked Daybreak. I could have also picked Azure. I could have picked Cold Steel 3. Like, it really didn't matter. I love them all. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my list, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
This was fun. Getting to learn more about everybody, getting to learn more about what games make y'all tick and shit like that. I had a blast.
Oh yeah.
What one game, if you could have picked one, didn't make the list that you wanted to make the list?
Easy.
Rajhkeem?
Elden Ring.
Solid.
Super easy. I didn't
Yeah.
put it on the list because it was a lot later than most of those games on the list. But by far, my favorite open world game I think I've ever played. Specifically because it combined, I'll say it like this. Souls games never clicked for me the way it did for other people. I tried Demon Souls. I literally bought Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and Bloodborne and never beat any of them. It wasn't until I played Elden Ring that I got it. Like, I finally get it. I get why people love these games. I did beat Sekiro, but there was something about Elden Ring specifically, like the world, how you were introduced to the world. The exploration was incredible. How they, and I think there's a little Elden Ring even in Ghost of Yosei I'm playing now, where you'll see something in the distance and it feels like it's an event. Like, everybody remembers the Eye of Sauron. Like, they had the Eye of Sauron in the game. If you went there, you would go mad and die. Or the village you walk into where there's all these people dancing, but they got blood on their clothes and like they got crazy weapons. Like, what the hell is going on over here, man? Or going into a building and the whole building is flipped upside down. You got to fight this one mage who can teleport in an upside down building, bro. The time when you drop down underground and the underground city with the sky, one of my favorite gaming moments ever. Like, no game has given me that sense of exploration since. I don't even know if FromSoft can top what they did with that game. I'm gonna be honest. That's why they do a multiplayer game now. They had to go do something else. Like, I don't know if we can top this. We gotta do some other shit. But yeah, Elden Ring. It didn't make my initial list, but as I was doing the list, like, I should play Elden Ring on this bitch. I love that game. I remember I was playing it with some friends. And a lot of my friends dropped off of it because they didn't pick certain boss fights and it was hard. The game is hard in certain areas, but I didn't care. I was like, I love that game so much. I fought those bosses until I couldn't fight no more. Whatever obstacle I went against, if I had to go somewhere else and level up or get stronger or get a different weapon or a different build, I did it because I just wanted more of that world. I remember I played the DLC. A lot of people struggle with DLC, and I was going smooth as a daisy. I'm like, oh, this is easy as hell. I'm having a great time, DLC, man. This game is too hard. I'm like, no, it ain't. This game for me, bro. Having a great time. Yeah, Elden Ring, man, like, the first time playing that, like, I can't even describe it. Like, I just love that game so much. I love that game so much. So Elden Ring made my list.
Okay.
Will, what about you?
For me, if I had a chance to put it on there, because it hit me after I looked at yours, it would be the Yakuza series, but it wouldn't be like a dragon, even though I love that game to death. That game is it's top notch. But it would have to be the game that kicked me into the series, Yakuza 3. Like same story with Keem, how he found his way into Final Fantasy at the pawn shop. I found my way to Yakuza at the pawn shop. So I just picked it up on a whim. I was like, I ain't never seen this before. Let's try it out. Maybe it won't be nothing. Picked up Yakuza 3 and I just started picking up the games bit by bit every time they came out. I got Yakuza 5 when it went up on PS3, and that was a huge download. It took me like 2 days to get started to even playing that game because of how large the download was, and y'all know what download was like on the PS3. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so ever since then, it made me a fan of the series, and I've been following Kiryu's story for a long ass time, and now I'm at Ichiban. I need to get the Infinite Wealth once I get some money on my hands and get a copy of it. But it's such an amazing series, awesome characters all the way through. I can't sit up here and tell not a single person like go play this series. It's there, like it's practically all together on every platform, and then the third game is getting remade with some bonus content to tell you about a major character in that story. So you have access to this series right now to hop into it. Like just like Sage said, despite the fact that Yakuza is like blowing up, like is at the height of its popularity, probably as far as I'm concerned, I need more of y'all to come through. Yakuza Like a Dragon RGT, that series is amazing, top to bottom.
Terance,
what's up?
I'll be quick with mine. Probably Persona 3 or 4. In the same way that you said, Sage, that Trails kind of define RPGs for you as an adult. That's how I view Persona 3 and 4, playing those in college. It hits different when you're older as opposed to playing, RPGs and trying to understand certain concepts when you're younger. Probably 3 over 4, just because 3 was the starting point. So I'd probably go with 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Devin.
Modern Warfare 2. I was really want to put this on the list because I have played my fair share of Call of Duty. It's fallen far from grace for what it used to be. Like the heyday is long past, but I love competitive games. I don't really play shooters like I used to, but there was a time where I was locked in like car keys on Modern Warfare. Like Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops. I skipped Black Ops 2, then I kind of came back and was stuck on Black Ops 3 for a while. But yeah, I love things to test your hand-eye coordination and just trying to get better at like skill sets and stuff and like playing against other people. So yeah, I was real close to putting on the list because I know like there's a stigma to like Call of Duty now, especially people that only play those games. But I definitely put a lot of time into that game, and that was some fun. I mean, I was playing with, I was in like a group for like a clan at the time. I even had my girlfriend at the time. She was playing with me. She had got decent. I'm like, it was COD everywhere, man. So yeah, that one, I got to give a shout out to Modern Warfare 2 in particular, because to me, that's the best one of all time.
That era COD was different, bro.
Yeah, it was, man. I can't even lie. I was in there.
I ain't gonna take a lot of time. I'm gonna just say Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Like I did spend so much time falling in love with that world and like the characters. The amount of again, like a game with high customization. Like people complain so much about like, oh man, the assassinations are harder and you can't just insta kill somebody. Like, I mean, yeah, you can. You just need to build the right version of the character.
Make a build.
You make the right assassin build. You kill whoever you want. I don't care what level they are. And just like I had so much. That's one of the rare games. That and Sleeping Dogs, the only 2 games I ever bothered to platinum. So yeah, easy pick for me.
That was probably the most RPG Assassin's Creed ever too.
Absolutely. I don't think I know that Valhalla didn't hit it. Valhalla was doing too much. It tried to like make the systems deeper, but like it made every level up feel weaker because you get like 0.23 to your health, and then another skill point would give you 0.2 to
Valhalla
your stealth.
It went too far over. It just didn't hit like Origins and Odyssey did like at all.
I thought that it would be easy. I was like, well, Ubisoft, y'all say that they just a factory for making video games. I said, well, if you make a factory of games like Origins and Odyssey, I'm in business. They could not do that. Valhalla was not it. Mirage was not it. Keem, how was Shadows compared to Origins and Odyssey? Okay.
It's not better than Origins Odyssey, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, there you go. So it's harder to do that shit than people thought. So People was talking about, oh, Ubisoft Factory, but that shit sometimes you make it hit. The factory, sometime it'll make it hit. So there you go. All right, that's gonna wrap this week up. If you're new to us and like this episode, I need you to hit the like button, subscribe, tell your friends about us, and do me a personal favor. Have an excellent week. Peace.
Peace.